everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at a really, really stellar book. This is Secondhand Love by Yamada Murasaki. This just came out from Drawn and Quarterly. It's translated by a friend of Living the Line and collaborator on Living the Line's Smudge line of comics. That's a Ryan Holmberg and Sean Michael Robinson special Smudge. Ryan Holmberg has become, as a translator, someone that has such a distinct voice in the choices he makes as a translator, and then is such an excellent, I can't read Japanese, but I'm assuming he's a very excellent translator because the way his things read in English feels very deep and very powerfully written. So you get the sense that whatever depth and power is in the original is being translated, that it's not just looking at the words, but it's really looking at the poetic emotional intent of what the creator's conveying, and that comes across in all the stories. This book is a collection of material that follows the collection of material put out in Murasaki's Talk to My Back. The Talk to My Back book was very much about a woman being trapped in a marriage that she didn't like. It was obvious that it wasn't autobiographical in the sense that the artist was using her name and stuff, but very much from real life experience. This book is a collection of material that short little stories that make bigger stories in collection. They're following one character. There's two that follow a character through smaller little pieces, and they're both about women who have moved on from being married. They're back in the dating scene, or they're just in the dating scene in general, living like the more modern feminist independent woman life versus the trapped married woman life. And Murasaki has some very strong opinions and some very strong ways of stating her feelings about things that are very powerful throughout the book, and I've made note of those, some of those. In this first sequence here, you have a story called A Blue Flame. It's based on this kind of opening line. I've been dumped, a flame flutters inside me, burning an apathetic blue. So there you get that sense of the really poetic language that's being used that really conveys emotional intent and is very powerful and impactful. There's also this beautiful thing going on in these first couple chapters where it's black and white with the red printed as a spot color that's allowing for these pinks. But then when the solid red is printed with the black over top of it to make this rose, it just makes a really rich, beautiful color there. And it really looks like shadows. It's soaking up light on the paper. So some really great use of this spot colors. Some just really great art too. You look at this, it's almost like the best, loosest Masamune Shiro sketch you could get, but that's the finished art. There's also some this is in the 80s, so it makes sense, but there's some Patrick Nagel, so clean, sparing lines, but way more loose and cartoony than that. There's a lot of moments in here where this art reminds me of a more modern artist, Bastien Vivez, someone else who just has these beautiful, fluid, elegant, very minimal drawings, a lot of gaps in the lines, a lot of information left out. I think is just, when Murasaki's working in this mode, it's just really great, graceful, stunning drawings. Also, again, some really great writings. In the end, we're all the same. Men, women, adults, children. We all just want to be smothered like babies against another human's beating heart. And I think that's a beautiful little statement. I think that's true of a lot of creatures, not all, but I know damn well that my dogs don't want to be pressed against us at all times. And that's really important stuff. Another really great bit of writing here. I wonder how he spends his time as I'm taking my birth control pill. So she's basically meeting up for a one night stand. This first story is about this character here, and she's having an affair with a married man, and she knows he's married, and that's part of it. And the just sort of statements like that, they're meeting up at a hotel, and she's like, let me go take my birth control pill. And I wonder how he spends his time as I'm taking my birth control pill. That's some potent shit. And then on the next page, as she's leaving from their encounter, she says, but the real question is, does he fuck his wife like he fucks me? So that gives you a sense of just like how brutally honest this book is. The kind of closest other autobiographical type of content I can associate it with in terms of just brutal honesty about things like that is M.S. Harkness's work. That's coming out now, so that this is coming out in the 80s, I think, is again another example of like, look at what's going on in American comics in the 80s. I know there was a lot of good underground stuff, but look at this, and I just, yeah, like I can't think of any American book that I've read. Well, maybe Mouse has some punches like that, but this is it's just good. This is just good stuff. Here's some of these images that make me think of Bastien Vives's work. These like contour lines that have these gigantic gaps in them, and then these like couple line pieces of hair falling in front of the face, and especially the character with only one eye, no eyes, no facial features, that there's so much being able to be communicated with just the pose of the body, that we don't need the emotive expressiveness of the face, the beautiful just little tuck of the finger on the hand. It's excellent drawing. You can't draw with so few lines, and like you have to be that good to draw with so few lines. It's just really stunning. In its very blunt forthrightness about adult sexuality, which I think is awesome. I don't think there's enough books that deal with that, which aren't just straight like, let me get right up in there and like have fluids all over the place, kind of pornographic. There's some real wisdom in this book, I think. Like here, the last kind of ending statement caption is, when sex dispels illusions, they are illusions best dispelled. And that's something that I've experienced personally. I also known many people have experienced. I've known a couple people, because we all grew up in the church. A lot of my close friends, I know, I'm not going to name any names, but I know some people that stayed with people longer than they should have, because they were waiting to have sex like a good Christian. And then once that finally broke, the interest just wasn't there anymore. And I think that's important. I think that's one of those things where it's like, that's why you don't wait. There's some other things you find out about people. Some illusions are dispelled when you get your hormones out of the way. So a lot of wisdom in that. Really interesting here to see a fully colored bit. I have to admit that with the watercolors, I do not like the art as much. I think that stunning elegance of the line work goes away. It works very well with the single spot color, because that preserves that more stripped down, elegant style. But the use of the markers or watercolors in here is just a little, like you can see the way that the markers have moved, and they're not doing much to create volume or directionality. So I didn't like this as much, but I thought it was interesting to have a full color piece in there. I do really like this later sequence here. Now we're in a different story. We're following a different character, but the same kind of general ideas of like, dating in your 30s and that kind of stuff. Really like this sequence of images here. This is actually done for something else. This is a bunch of illustrations, actually. Sorry. And I really like this look too. These like really delicate line work again with the ink wash. I think the ink wash comes across better. It looks more direct, like boom, that's the one. It has the confidence that the colors didn't. So really cool that they included that little bit in there. And there's an interview that's been translated in the back that Ryan Holmberg also got this really nice interview. And I just had to mark off and want to read out this particular part because I just liked what the artist was saying in here. It's not particularly painful to make work about this stuff. I've already processed it all emotionally, and I know this might not be a pretty way to put it, but what you're seeing is essentially the waste. Making a manga like that is an exercise in self-purification. I don't really learn anything in the process of drawing. Instead, I draw whatever conclusions I've already come to in the process of living. And I think that's a really interesting way to think about life. I like to use my art to help me process things, and the older I get, the more interested I am in not knowing what I want to say ahead of time. As a youth, I would have said, this is exactly what we're going to say, and that's what this project is about. Now I want to leave a little room for me to change my mind as I go. But I also really like this idea of life as a consumptive effort where you consume experiences and you take the nutrition from that you need, and you excrete the things that you don't need. And that this is an artist who now has figured this stuff out and is now like, I got to get it out of my head. I got to get rid of it. I've learned these lessons. I got to put it out there and say what I've learned from these experiences, and then move on so I can leave those experiences in the past. And I think that's just psychologically probably really healthy. I think it would probably be really healthy if most people did this, whether, oh, there's another great drawing. Look at that. Look, no face, no nothing. That's amazing. But I think, through a lot of what Tori and I have been going through in the last couple years, the really hard look at ourselves that we've had to take because we've been put in the situation where she's become disabled, and that wasn't the case when we met, and we're both having to rethink ourselves, our relationship, and we're going through a lot of really tough stuff, but we both feel like it's making us better people in the long run and helping us grow. A lot of how we've done that is through narrativizing our life, narrativizing our experience, narrativizing our struggles, and in that we can process what we're going through, exactly like Yamada Murasaki is talking about in this end sequence here. So I think that this is, there was just a book I said, I forget which one it was, it was the Pedar and Lisa, I said was a potential contender for a book of the year for me. I think this Yamada Murasaki, Secondhand Love, is another one that is kind of up there and contender for a book that landed just really potently for me. I'm noticing now as I'm reading through this that either I stained it, yeah, there's some staining, or it came to me this way, I'm not sure. Anyways, that's not part of the book. Yours shouldn't have that. But yeah, this is a really, really powerful book. I mean, I would recommend anything that Ryan Holmberg translates, but I think this particular collection of books of Yamada Murasaki's work is within an already an exceptional curated collection of works that Ryan Holmberg's put together. I think this is some of the stuff I enjoy the most, and I don't know how robust Yamada Murasaki's manga career was. It seems like there was a long time that was taken off to be just a mother and a wife, and then she came back to comics, is the impression I get. So hopefully there's a lot of work that got put out there, though, because I would love to read more. I think this is, as someone says on the back here, no, it's not here. Somewhere in here, though, there's somebody says this is art. It's obvious that this is art. This isn't someone just telling stories. This is someone doing exactly what they want to and saying something very, very vulnerably specific in such a way that it becomes universal, that anyone should be able to kind of feel the emotions behind this. And I don't know if you could say something better about work than that. I actually, at some point in this, I had to look and see if this artist was still alive, because this is someone I would love so much to be able to collaborate with on a project I have in mind. I would love to pay this person, but I believe she has passed now, unfortunately. So really, really love this book. Really, really, really into this, and recommend it for everybody.
Into